Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to our Leadership Sarpy Lessons in Leadership. We're excited to have Martie Cordaro joining us from President of Union Omaha. I am Brian White with the Sarpy County Chamber, and with me is Jim.
Hey, thanks, Brian. Appreciate it. Jim Masters here. I think a lot of you folks know me from my work as facilitator for Leadership Sarpy. So hopefully you guys know that. I've been doing that for a number of years. I'm also a business coach for Focal Point International, as well as an international trainer for them, and have been doing that for the past 13 years. But have really enjoyed my ability to facilitate Leadership Sarpy and be involved in the Sarpy County Chamber activities.
And so, Martie, again, president of Omaha Storm Chasers Union Omaha. Appreciate if you could begin by maybe just sharing some things of what's going on in your environment currently.
Not much, we're just kicked back in the office, getting ready for games. No, it's, I'm asked that question a lot. I've been on, as we were speaking earlier, multiple Zooms each day, conference calls. We're recording this at 9 a.m. On a Thursday morning, and I've already been on 3 calls before this already. And, a lot of it is, what are we doing now, and what are we doing to come through this so when this is over, we can have success at the end of it. And I know we can talk about that later. So there's just so many things, but the problem in now running not only the Storm Chasers, now we have Union Omaha. I'm dealing with different entities. We each have a league we play within. So on the baseball side, we play in the Pacific Coast League, which is part of minor league baseball. And in soccer, we will be playing in League One, which is part of the USL. And then when you go a step further, MILB, we're basically waiting on Major League Baseball. That's where our players and our talent comes from. And then on the soccer side, there's a governance at USA Soccer, and then there's support from MLS. So in our world, there are so many layers, there are so many opinions, and obviously, the world doesn't revolve around sports. But when you look at music, you look at movies, you look at entertainment, you look at sports, you look at community activities, not-for-profit, chamber, charitable organizations, banquets, walks, 5Ks, chicken spaghetti feeds, you name it, that's all just stopped. So from a sense of community, all of those things for which professional sports has a major part in, I think that's ultimately what's going to get us back to what our new normal is going to be, because we're not going to go back to a normal. There's going to be a new normal that's going to exist. Those are the things I'm dealing with each day, in addition to staffing, trying to have some semblance of sales relationships. I wouldn't call it sales right now. We're calling it sales relationships is what we're doing with our 2 business entities. And then maybe the most challenging thing is we're starting a brand new business right now in this climate. We haven't had our first soccer match. We haven't kicked off once. So we all know we're entrepreneurs. A number of people that will see this video are and have been and have started businesses. In the first year, you usually don't project a surplus. You don't project to make money. Your goal is can we break even, or how little can we lose? So you can imagine what we're going through on the soccer side. It's really working hard to see, okay, what are those losses going to be and how can we minimize that? So many different factors, because the 2 businesses are dramatically different.
Yeah, absolutely. You can kind of see that. I mean, even if we weren't dealing with this current environment, you can see, the balance of both organizations and the multiple layers that you have, just in being able to manage that in a normal environment. You can see the challenge. Are there things that you've identified or kind of experiences that you've experienced through adversity that's prepared you for today?
Yeah, in baseball per se, weather dictates a lot of what we do day in and day out over the course of an April till September season. So over those last 21, 22 years, a lot of those day-by-day small things have prepared for, what is a larger than just day-by-day type of an approach. And I wouldn't say that making a weather call with umpires and managers, none of which who ever want to play normally, even on a sunny day sometimes, I wouldn't say that specifically has prepared for now, but I think it's the over time and learning how to manage relationships, learning how to manage people and groups of people who may have different goals and may have different ideas of what success looks like to them. That's what we're dealing with here because, you know, we have a number of employees from the standpoint of interns, entry level, medium level, managers, directors, general managers on up. All those groups of people have different ideas in their opinion of how things should be handled and what success looks like. And then you look at customers, suites, suite holders, groups, season ticket holders, mini plans, sponsors, naming rights partners, premier partners, and that's just all baseball. Then we have the whole separate side on soccer now as well. There are so many different ideas and opinions of what success looks like. I think what we have done, what we've tried to do over the last 3.5, 4 weeks, Lori Schlender, who is our baseball general manager, Matt Hominoff, who is our COO for Union Omaha, and then Gary Green, who is our CEO and principal owner of both the Storm Chasers and Union. You know, we've tried to take a look at what's essential through this period. And at the end of the day, we are somewhat making educated guesses because there's no playbook for this. This is the first time it's happened. This isn't a rain out. It's not a weather out. It's not hail. It's not chemical evacuation that we've had. It's not playing a game without power at Rosenblatt. It's not some of the things that we have done. It's a new playbook. So they're educated guesses. We're not perfect. So there are some things we've done very well. There's some things that we've already said, man, you know what? I wish we could maybe do that over. And we're taking a look at that. So I know there's a lot of answers to your one question there, but that really is the nature of the world that we're living in and how fast information is coming in. And, you know, that's the other challenge is what do you believe? You know, do we listen to science? Do we listen to our medical providers? Do we listen to our political leaders and our business leaders and our economic leaders? The answer is yes, but you have to decide yes to which answers that you're getting from which group as well.
Mm-hmm. And, you know, one of the things is you were talking too about, you know, engaging with so many organizations and components and areas. When I think of, you know, baseball has progressed to an international culture as well, but now you add soccer as well, where there's a heavy international influence. Do you see there being any kind of lessons that you can take from baseball in that international experience to help with engaging in soccer, or are they completely opposite of one another?
You know, I wouldn't say they're opposite, Brian. I would say that they are different. You know, the international flavor from a baseball perspective is primarily players. It's primarily those that are on the field. It's primarily those that are in minor league baseball and will be playing in Major League Baseball. You know, the fan base is something that minor league baseball 4 years ago through a Copa de la Diversión program is started to touch that and has started from a marketing perspective to try to do a better job with, but we're not good in baseball at that. On the soccer side, it truly is the world's game and it truly is an international game. And I'm learning it. I'm becoming a soccer guy day by day. So there's much more interaction from a fan perspective that is non-traditional baseball fan to equal what you see on the field or on the pitch, if you will. So it's different, and there are some things that we have learned from soccer onto to apply on the baseball side, or we hope to soon apply, and then vice versa. There's some things on the baseball side, and I wouldn't say baseball, but it's probably more specific Warner Park, Sarpy County, Omaha Metro side that we will apply and have applied onto soccer as well. So it's kind of been a nice balance, if you will.
You know, one of the things that I think about too, as we talk about soccer for a moment, is from different opportunities through the service to be able to do some international travel, and particularly in Italy and then also in Greece. Soccer is huge, but one of the things that you really resonate with is that it ties itself to the community. And as you mentioned, the Sarpy County, the Omaha, the Warner Park, I see that there's a good opportunity for us to be able to draw on that atmosphere and environment that soccer is going to bring to that sense of community. And in some aspects, I think that that could be the answer for helping us heal through this process.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. And because of the cross cultures and then the cross, even from a language perspective, soccer is going to bring, and we've already seen it with our ticket package buyers and the interest level from soccer. I think it can. I think it can help us. Hopefully that period of time is sooner rather than later. We just simply don't know at this point in time when that's going to be.
Thank you. Jim, do you have a couple of follow-ups?
Yeah, I did. Just based on some of the comments you were making, Marty, we always talk about, leadership Sarpy, and this is sort of a leadership theme here. I recall historically, Roosevelt in World War II said, "We have nothing to fear but fear itself." Fear will paralyze you, and panic will paralyze you. I even wrote a LinkedIn article about, failing to panic. You can't panic during these times. I guess from your perspective, for, our leaders that are going to watch this, what's the critical role of a leader right now during this type of an event, a crisis? It's still a crisis. It's a weird one, but it's still a crisis, and businesses and organizations deal with the crisis all the time. So what do you think the most critical role of a leader is during these times?
I think what I've learned over the last, pardon me, Jim, the last 4 weeks is that you have to take decisive action, and you cannot stay where, if you're today on April the 9th, if you're today where we were on March 11th, 12th, or 13th, when everything really started to happen, that Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, then you're already behind. And those are the things that we've really done a good job within the Pacific Coast League and minor league baseball, and then also on the USL side, is there's been so much sharing about what each team is doing from a business perspective in the baseball world, because we don't manage the sport. On the soccer side, both. What are we doing both on the business side and with our players that were already in market and we're right at the end of training camps? So there's been a lot of sharing, and everyone is doing it different. There's some similarities, but there's no same, because all of our positions, from an ownership structure, from a debt structure, from a community structure, from a governmental relationship structure with our facilities and our landlords, everyth's different. So there's not a playbook, and there truly still won't be one after this, but there'll be a lot of stories, and there's a lot of data and a lot of experiences that we've had. So from a leadership perspective, it's acting decisively so you can manage through this crisis, because that's what we're living during this pandemic time. It is a crisis. And when we come out of it, where are we at that point in time to begin to have somewhat of the new normal that I spoke about earlier? And so we can get back to business, not business as normal, but we can get back to business. And as we can have that incline back up to, in our case, being able to open our doors for events and for games and for community fun, and being able to give back to the community, as our organization has done for 52 years on the baseball side, and now for not quite a year on the soccer side, even though we haven't kicked off yet.
You just made a comment, and I would like to follow up on that. You talked about the and I've been calling it "when this is over" plan. Sounds like you guys have done a lot of work on that. What advice and counsel would you give to others that are watching this video to have a strategy for when this is over? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think what we did at the beginning through our staffing and through our vendor relationships was we had a lot of tough conversations really early on. And in our case, the reason why we had to move so quickly, we make nearly 65 or 70% of our revenues for an entire year, for a 12-month period. 65 plus percent of those come in from March 1 to sometime in July. So it could not have happened at a worse time for us. There are no receipts. We're not selling any single game tickets, from a ticket package sales. They stopped. Sponsorship sales, they stopped. Suite sales, everything stopped. The only thing that has had a small trickle is merchandise sales, but our retail store is not open. So it's been online. And quite frankly, a lot of people don't know where their next paycheck's coming from or how long their savings are going to last, not knowing how long this goes on. So that's not even, at the forefront. They're worried about buying milk and eggs. They're not worrying about buying hoodies and T-shirts. And we understand that. So for us, we had to move quickly. And instead of putting out a memo or an email, we met with every one of our employees, both on the soccer and baseball side, face-to-face or through video, depending on what they were comfortable with. And we had one-on-one dialogues with everybody. And we told them all exactly where we were. Here's the plan. This is what's going on with your specific job description as it relates to essential staffing over the next, hopefully 3 to 5 weeks. We'll see. We're on the backside of that 3 to 5 weeks now. We'll see how long it lasts. And then we had a lot of tough conversations with our vendor partners as well, and a number of our relationships in the community. And not necessarily to sever them, but just to tell them the position that we're in. And we tried to be transparent in both instances, both internally and externally. And I think that really set the course for us to what we hope, is a positive result at the end of this path. And again, we're hoping 3 to 5 weeks. Is it going to be probably more like 4 to 8? Yeah, I think so. That's what it's looking like. That's what it's feeling like. And March 16th is really when we started to put all these plans in action. And matter of fact, our CEO, Gary Green, and I were in offices the week of March 9th, close on some major soccer deals and working on some baseball deals. That was on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday night. On the 11th of March, the NBA announces a suspension of the season. And then everything followed over the next 3 days. So it was interesting being with Gary, having been here. We were managing through that face-to-face, but that face-to-face has stopped. Now it's through video, which is great to be able to have this technology, or on the phone. And it's about communication. You can't get your same point across without being able to sit across a desk for someone. But you can get darn close if you're picking up the phone and you're not just emailing people.
Just a comment too, Marty, you made a great note on this. Communication is so important right now. We should be over communicating with certainly 3 aspects, right? Our customers, our vendor relationships that we have, and our employees. And it sounds like that's really, and shareholders if you're corporately owned or something, that really sounds like something you guys are doing a great job on. So I commend that. I think that's really, really important right now. Hey, Marty, let me ask you a question too. Just, this is an opportunity, I guess, to have some time to ponder stuff. Maybe it's an opportunity to think about how can we improve some things. I talk about to my clients about, take some opportunities to study, get smarter when you come out of this. Are there certifications? Anything that you guys are seeing that's helping sharpen the saw for you, or any silver linings that you're seeing that are coming out of this thing that you're dealing with and we're all dealing with?
Yeah, the sales staff that we still have, Jim, they're not calling to say, hey, are you going to buy your tickets? They're calling saying, thank you for your purchase. They're calling to say, this is what has happened. We don't have a start time to the season yet. So as of now, games are postponed, the season's suspended. Nothing's been canceled. No game we haven't gotten word from either entity that games won't be played. Quite honestly, we're looking at the opposite. We're looking at how can we play deeper into September, or in soccer's case, maybe even play through October to beginning of November. So those things, it's critical to remind our customers, in that case, when you mentioned customers, vendors, employees, it's critical to have those communications. So I think that relationship, maybe it's not stronger, but it's continuing, because I can't help but think a lot of relationships are going to fall by the wayside for a lot of organizations and individuals during this period, because sometimes we do let fear and we do let trepidation kind of take over. Something else that's been good through this is we've really seen who our top partners really are based on their comments back to us, based on their asks, based on their words of encouragement. And then we've seen some that, from a standpoint of that just want to know when a start date is, or they want to know what's going to happen with their investment. And the ones that have faith and trust in us, we know when we come out of this that those are folks that we can always rely on, if we can rely on them during this time. And then technologies. I think there's some things that we've done on the social media side, and there's some things that we're going to be doing coming up with soccer, we have a fairly significant announcement next week that we've been working on behind the scenes because of what's been going on. And, you know, we need to stay relevant. So next week, which is the week of April 10th next week, I'm trying to think of what the days are. April 13th, week of the 13th, we're going to have a major soccer announcement. And there's some things that are tied to the community through that announcement and those that are fighting COVID. So, you know, we have learned to be maybe more creative, even though we can't be face-to-face. And then one other thing Andrea Bador did is she came up with this idea with Chasers Takeout. A lot of restaurants and eateries are doing takeout. So what would have been April 14th opening night will now be Chasers Takeout, and we put it out, this package that families can buy, and it's sold out in less than 4 hours. So now we're looking at how can we do it again. And it was $20 4-pack of meals for a family. And you guys know from a cost perspective, we're making nothing, basically. This is more of a community service to stay relevant. But those are the things, Jim, that it's forced us to do. And I'm really proud of our team, you know, for pushing that creativity and continuing to, you know, to do things to stay relevant in our own small way.
That's great.
Martie, as we kind of wrap up here, you just want to kind of, again, echo on behalf of Karen, our president of the Sarpy County Chamber, just the appreciation that we have for your leadership, as well as the Omaha Storm Chasers and Union Omaha's involvement and support of the community, as well as the Chamber. So again, I can't echo on her behalf enough the gratefulness and the appreciation that we have for your leadership. Well, just ask if you have any final thoughts, and then we kind of wrap up.
Yeah, I mean, my final thoughts are, you know, and Jim touched on it as well from a fear perspective. You know, it's okay. It's okay to be fearful, but it's not okay to let that make all your decisions and rule your everyday. You know, because if that's the case and you're part of a family unit, then you're not either supporting your children, or as a child, you're not helping support your siblings. So I think it's mindful. It's okay to be scared a little bit, because that means you are sympathetic or empathetic, depending on what that situation may be, toward others and to what's going on in the world. But I think what's critically important, and I get text messages because I am connected to so many people, that while my neighbors are having a cookout and there's 40 people outside and they're playing a basketball and a wiffle ball game. And trust me, I want to be doing that, not only at my business, but in my neighborhood. And I think all of us do. I think it's critically important that we take a step back and begin to be a little bit more selfless instead of selfish over this next, even if it is another 2 months. And I urge people to just think about all those others that don't have anyone. I have a mother-in-law that we haven't seen in 3.5, 4 weeks, other than through a glass door when I go do her grocery shopping. She's all by herself. And she's in that at-risk group. And I can't help but think if something happened to her, or something happened to my parents in Louisiana who are, you know, both in their 70s. So let's think of others. Let's continue to think of others. And it's okay if we don't have cookouts or if we don't have birthday parties for the next 2 to 3 months, because we need to think about the next 2 to 3 generations, not just today and present. So I just urge people to be selfless instead of selfish.
Good words, Martie. Really good words. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Martie. Well, again, we appreciate you joining us today. And again, I don't know what else to say, but other than thank you.
Yeah, I love being a part of the Sarpy County community, and you know, we feel the same about you guys at the Chamber as far as, you know, being a leader in our area and specifically with our 2 businesses. And Jim, thanks for what you do from a leadership perspective. And, you know, I appreciate the opportunity to do this. And, you know, if we're still sitting here in 4, 5, 6 weeks and you want to go over another topic, you know, I'm here on video all day long, and accessible if you want to do this again.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay. Thank you.